Hey everyone, Rachel Boucher here, head of content at Event Marketer, thrilled to be kicking off our quarterly B2B Strat chats with our partner Proscenium. If you're feeling like 2025 has some serious momentum behind it already, you're not alone. And today we're going to talk about what's top of mind in the world of B2B right now. Joining me today are Kat Tooley, Vice President, Global Events and Experiential Marketing at HubSpot. Hey, Kat.
Hi, how are you?
Good. And Jeremy Dobrish, Senior Creative Director at Proscenium. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Kat.
Hi.
All right, let's jump right in. Kat, I'll start with you. Give us a brief overview of your role and what sorts of events that you strategize for and plan.
Yeah, so I'm a VP of marketing at HubSpot, overseeing the global events and experiential discipline. So my team oversees the planning of two different sections of business. This is the first year where we've taken our events, really split them into two parts, what we call marquee or kind of corporate-led events. So those are those bigger, really, I'd say multifunctional events that can serve a lot of different attendees, a lot of different goals. So we oversee that, which is inbound, grows, and then we also do North American field events. So yeah, our primary purpose is making sure that our sales and customer success teams, as well as our larger HubSpot business, gets to meet face-to-face with not only our customers and prospects, but anyone that is interested in the idea of having a really strong customer platform to help power their business, or is interested in excelling their career in marketing, service, or sales.
Talk about building momentum. Right? Jeremy, how about you?
Sure. So I'm a Senior Creative Director at Proscenium. We are a global live events production agency. We do tons of shows and events each year. Most of what we do is B2B, but not exclusively. And our shows really range. It can be anywhere from a few hundred people to tens of thousands of people at each event. My role, it basically falls into two buckets, writing and directing. So I write speeches and presentations, I write treatments and videos, I write anything that the presenters want to do live on stage that, is a little different, a skit they want to do or a conversation they want to have, that sort of thing. And then in terms of directing, I direct the presenters, I direct the speeches, I direct any outside talent that we might have brought in, basically anything that's going on that stage, and then figuring out technically how it's all going to work in terms of coordinating the slides and the sound and the video and the lighting and all that sort of thing.
Fantastic. It takes a village, right, Jeremy?
Truly. Video village and beyond.
Yeah.
So Kat, I want to turn back to you and just describe your approach to building strategic events.
Yeah. Well, personally at HubSpot, the way that we approach experiential strategy when starting to plan our year is I look at it two ways. I look at, our customer and attendee needs, what they're looking to kind of fulfill or have filled at an event. But then we're also looking at our company goals and identifying places where an event might be able to amplify a marketing campaign, be able to provide additional outreach or fill a gap with our success team when they're trying to, reach out to customers or onboard or educate them en masse, or places that we could really help our sales team either find new deals or accelerate current deals. But at its core, our strategy is about connecting with our customers, and connecting with people who are interested, in the business of events and the events business. So we really kind of start at the bottom and say, what does our customer want? What is, based off of historics, based off of what we're seeing in the marketplace, what does our customer want first? What's the content that they're looking for? And how can the events team really fill that gap? And then we start layering in additional strategy where we think that we can help a team really be able to amplify and meet their goals. I'm a big believer in that experiential marketing certainly has places where an event or a campaign could stand alone, but our primary objective is also making sure our full marketing team and our full company meet their goals. And experiential marketing is a great tactic for them to be able to implement in addition to their digital campaigns, their demand campaigns, their brand campaigns, their media campaigns.
A big topic of conversation across the world of B2B is growth. And where do we go from here? Curious if you could tell me about your audiences a little bit more, their needs, and how you determine those needs.
Yeah, so we definitely cast a very broad net. The thing that we look at when we are looking at our audience for inbound is we're looking at our HubSpot customer, who are the type of customers that we have, but then we also are looking at who are the type of customers that we want. Who are those people out there who are really about adopting customer platforms, adopting new technology to help grow and accelerate their business. So really, defining that profile of who is that type of person. And we don't like to, really focus too much in on a particular persona. We'd like to have a range. For us, it's anyone that's, in a business decision maker seat, anyone that's making decisions on behalf of their business. We want to be able to, reach out to them and speak with them. So that could be a social media manager in charge of their, various social channels and the distribution strategy of that. That could be all the way up to, someone in the VP or the C-suite, but it's anyone who's making decisions on behalf of their business is looking to grow and accelerate that business as well as grow and accelerate their career. So we cast a pretty wide net. Our attendees are the same. We say, even though an event like Inbound, not everyone who attends Inbound is a HubSpot customer or user, right? But as long as we're solving for our customer, we feel like that is the right strategy, as long as we're solving for our HubSpot customer. And then those additional net new attendees who are not users or customers, like they will naturally attend because we're picking the right content, we're picking the right approach for our customers. So it's right for business at scale.
I'm curious about that new audience that you're attracting, expanding and growing your audience. And you mentioned content, and including content. What are some other sort of focus areas for when you're thinking about engaging and bringing in that new audience?
Yeah. So we look a lot at our HubSpot ecosphere. So our app partners, our solutions partners, any of our strategic partnerships with other, companies, applications, who, how can we kind of bring them into our event atmosphere? How can we help serve some of their needs while simultaneously they're introducing us to net new audiences? So that's a big one, is like kind of that cross promotion and those partnerships, really being able to showcase not only their partnerships within HubSpot, but their partnerships within our event. So that's a big place that we look. And, content is also another place that we, continue to really focus on. Post-event, we have on-demand content through our YouTube channel. So the HubSpot Media Network runs several different YouTube channels, kind of a house of brands underneath HubSpot Media Network. Inbound has a dedicated channel, but a lot of our event content is filmed and then cut down and showcased on demand. And we do also live stream portions of our events to not only our audiences on LinkedIn and Instagram, but we're gonna, or in LinkedIn Live, but we're gonna try different formats for this year. And yeah, I mean, we reach a lot of new audiences that way too, that are kind of testing the waters on like whether or not they want to invest in attending the event for a full day or multiple days. We're able to really get their attention online first to help them drive that decision later. So yeah, those are like two big pieces where we were able to bring in those net new attendees. I would also say the third piece that no one talks about a lot because it's really hard to measure is word of mouth. When you have an event like Inbound that's been going on for 14, 15 plus years. It just has a quality to it where people know that they are going to invest their money in attending and that it's going to be a good thing for them. So for us, it's like making sure our NPS continues to to rise, taking customer and attendee feedback very seriously, making adjustments for the following year. So making good on those adjustments and making good on those fixes, and stabilizing and really making things better that are already great, right? And as long as you continue to build those events, for the attendee in mind, and they deliver, quality content and a quality experience over multiple days, that ROI is there for them, and naturally they will return year over year, and they'll tell their coworkers, and they'll tell their friends. They'll go to a new company and tell them about Inbound, or any of our events. So word of mouth is key for us too, but that's all based off creating a positive experience for the customer.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeremy, I mean, it seems as though we're really trying to get to know and understand our audiences even more, right, lately. And from your perspective, how do you take different approaches with different types of audiences?
Yeah, I think it's really important to understand your audience and then meet them where they are. And I love what Kat was saying about, understanding what the customer wants and kind of starting with that, because I feel like a lot of events don't do that, particularly events that are done, year after year after year. And a lot of times the presenters are thinking about themselves. What do I have to present this year? As opposed to what does this audience need to hear this year? And those can be two very different things. So I'm always asking, what is the temperature of the audience? What are they feeling coming into this? Are they excited? Are they dubious? Are they buying what you're selling so far, or not so much? How much do you have to work to convince them? Because those create very different types of events. I'll give you a couple of examples. So the CEO, sometimes the audience loves the CEO and really wants to hear from them, wants time with them, is sort of eating up what they have to say. Sometimes not so much. Sometimes they're a little not behind the CEO. They're not trusting the CEO. Now, that doesn't mean the CEO shouldn't speak, but maybe some of the content that might have gone to the CEO goes to some different executives in order to get that messaging across. And that can happen with the same company year over year. And so you have to change things up based on how the audience is feeling. Another example would be franchises. We work with several different clients who have franchises. So sometimes the franchise owners really want to hear from headquarters. They really want to know, what new initiatives do we have coming out? What new products do we have coming out? What are you seeing on the national stage that I'm not seeing in my store? What new sales tools are you going to give me? Sometimes that's not what they want. They really want time with each other. They want to hear from each other. What are your best practices? How are you making more money than I am using the same tools that I'm using? And again, if you have a sense of which way it is, you design your event very, very differently. So I think, having a real solid foundation of what those audiences, what those customers want is super important.
Yeah, that brings me to my next question. Business and planning, they're moving at lightning speed, and we're getting data kind of in the same fashion. It's just coming at us. And so that foundation, having that sound strategy, why does that matter more than ever? And what's sort of your first step when you think about asking or working with clients on establishing that sort of sound strategy first, Jeremy?
Yeah, well, I think it's that old, I don't know if you know that Joe Jackson song, you can't get what you want till you know what you want. It's that sort of feeling. Again, these shows can sometimes go on autopilot. And, we're doing it the third week in January because that's when we always do it. And these are our speakers because these are always our speakers. And this is how much time they have because this is always how much time they have. And that's not serving the audience, and it's not serving you, because the flip side of asking about the audience is asking about you. So what do you want out of this event? What do you want the audience to do differently when they go home? How do you want them to walk out of the doors different from how they walked in the doors? If you're not asking those kind of questions, you're very unlikely to get those sort of results. So a sound strategy allows you to stay off that autopilot and really work towards your goals. And I think for Proscenium especially, you know, we are a production agency, but we also do creative. We also have an in-house content studio. We also do strategy, and we love it when our clients will bring us into those conversations. We do a lot of shows. So we have that perspective to be able to let them know this is more likely to work. This is less likely to work. Let's try to put something together that's really going to achieve your objective and give the audience what they want.
Yeah, such a great point. Thank you. And I want to turn to data next. I don't think the industry has ever had more tools and mechanisms to analyze the impact of events, and yet it's still an evolving practice. Kat, how do you measure the success of your event strategy?
Yeah, I first let me say I have a lot of sympathy and empathy for everyone because there is a lot of data out there. I'm also very lucky that I work at a company that has a great customer platform that can help aggregate that data for me. So I would say, you know, I have lots of different measurements, and a lot of that is because of the advantage of working at HubSpot and being able to use the HubSpot tool. But for us, our three, it depends on the event, right? There isn't what I would say like a one size fits all mechanism for measuring event success across a full strategy, unless you're only doing one event, right? So if you're doing multiple events, you're going to be managing lots of different goals of those events. For instance, when my team is putting on a field event, that goal might be acceleration of a deal, right? Like how quickly that deal closed after they were able to meet with a rep face to face versus if they had only had phone or Zoom conversations with them. Another might be, you know, whether or not the deal closed after the event at all. So like that would be a measurement for field events. For our bigger marquee events that can house a lot of different goals and tap into a lot of different campaigns, for us, we call it like the 3 A's, right? So it's awareness, affinity, and acceleration. So awareness for us, it's very typical, you know, marketing goals, but we want to understand, you know, how many net new attendees came to the event this year, how many of those attendees were not HubSpot users, but maybe touched HubSpot in some way at the event. NPS is our number one. So NPS we put into the awareness kind of marketing category bucket, but it really sits on top of all three of them. But we care deeply about the customer experience, whether or not they felt like spending 3 whole days with us and investing that time and money and time away from family and friends was worth it to them. So we take that very seriously. And then, you know, we also kind of get down into the data a lot. We like to see overall content session ratings, how they rated our content, not only at like an individual content level by session, but also against certain tracks or certain buckets of or categories that we may create to measure content effectiveness on site. For Affinity, that's all about retention of our attendees and our customers, and quite frankly, building community and advocacy within the event. So, you know, how many people met with a success rep? How many people engaged with one of our community groups? How many people ended up, how many of our customers ended up coming? How many of our advocates ended up coming? How much content did they make on site? And then finally, acceleration. That's really for our sales team. We want to make sure that our events as much fun as they are, and we love to make what we call industry events versus we don't do user conferences. We like to say they're industry events because we want people who are not just HubSpot users to be able to attend and feel that they are, getting education and meaning out of the content that we're producing. But we also have to recognize that we need to create spaces for the sales team to sell and like to be able to meet with their customers and meet with prospects and be able to educate current customers about the product, any advancements and features in the product, and then certainly anyone net new that is interested in learning more about HubSpot, that we have engagement on site for them to be able to do that. So we create an environment that's hospitable for our sales team and gives them the tools and the enablement to be able to work their magic. So that's a big part of ours, as well as acceleration, kind of seeing how those deals came to fruition, how the event helped reps get in front of their customers, their prospects, really talk about the product, talk about the brand, talk about what makes HubSpot special. That's a big piece of that as well.
I love that you mentioned the sales team, because I think that just shows how sort of unique the position of the B2B event marketer is, in that there are multiple audiences, internal and external,
Absolutely,
that you've got to accommodate.
Yes.
Yeah. Question for you both now. Tell us about some of the trends that you're seeing and want to incorporate into your events. And Jeremy, I'll kick it back to you.
Sure. Well, we actually, at Proscenium, we recently did a video with Jessica at Event Marketer about trends. And one of the trends that jumped out at me that I'm definitely seeing and that I really like is this idea of less didactic presentations. And I think Jessica coined that, but basically this idea that, sometimes it's great for a presenter to get up and have a PowerPoint presentation and do that presentation. But sometimes that's not the best way to get the information across. And what the attendees seem to be yearning for is more of their voice on stage. And that doesn't necessarily mean putting an attendee on stage. It can mean that, but it means having their voice up there with the presenter. So it can be Q&A, it can be a one-on-one conversation, it can be a panel, it can be something that where they helped generate the content that goes into the presentation. But I think that feeling of someone getting up on stage and just a one-way conversation of them giving you the facts is not working as well generally as it used to. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kat, how about you?
I 100% agree, Jeremy. We have this conversation often on my programming and content team about how we want to kind of gear more towards interactivity and having a two-way communication at our events versus just a one-way. I mean, experiential marketing, that was the whole kind of foundation of why it was created, was people wanted to have a two-way reaction with their customer or with a person to get real-time feedback, to have that exchange. And I think sometimes at these conferences and shows and events, when we put content on the stage, it takes away the experiential aspect, which is the two-way conversation, right? It's a one-way presentation out to the audience. So like being comfortable with wrapping in more interactivity and more engagement is key. Like we are, trying to integrate in more Q&A, even if the Q&A is done before the event. Let's say you have a speaker that's a little bit nervous about doing a live Q&A, we can work around that. We can crowdsource questions and have that Q&A kind of pre-baked and done at the end. And it's still a conversation with the customer. I think that it's also like variety of formats, right? I think most presenters feel very safe with like a fireside chat, which I get. It's like, most of the people that we interact with, if not all of them, are experts in their industry. It is very easy for them to come into a session with very little practice and being able to have a very meaningful conversation from that stage. But having 10 fireside chats in a row can be pretty daunting to the audience. So we try to make sure that we have a variety of content. Sometimes fireside chats is all you can get from a very, very, very busy C-suite executive, and we get that. But we try to make sure to bookend that with more interactive sessions. But I would say the sessions and the content that play the strongest for us are presenters that come in with materials, either videos, decks, anything that's like well built that they can show on the screen. They're talking to that specifically. There's great shots where you want to take your iPhone out, take a picture of that page from the deck. And they're also involving Q&A, kind of really leaning into the audience reaction and kind of going from there and ad-libbing them from there. So I would say those presentations tend to do the best for us.
I can remember when the presentations were bullet points, and now there's really beautiful imagery and ways to sort of tell that story and present that data in a way that's super compelling, even for people who are just seated,
Yeah, and we actually introduced a new concept last year at Inbound, which we're going to be doing again this year, called HubSpot Labs. We had heard, again, listening to your customer and your attendee, we had heard from a lot of our customers who had been at Inbound year over year that they recognized that it wasn't a user conference, but they wanted to be able to go deeper on the product. But we also knew that, that was a certain percentage of the audience. So we created what we call the HubSpot Lab space. It is led by our HubSpot Academy professors, and it is a 90-minute to an 120-minute long lab session where they actually get in the product. They present a trend that they're seeing in the industry. They, whether it's in marketing, sales, service, AI, they have a live discussion about it with the group. And then they actually get into the HubSpot product and solve for it. So it was a beta tested format last year. We were trying it out. It was positively reviewed. We're making some adjustments for this year, and we're really excited to have that back. But it's like you've got HubSpot Labs, which is meant for a maximum of 30 to 40 people in the room. And then you've got keynotes presented by Yamini, our incredible CEO. That's for 12,000 people, right? So it's like really being able to offer like a variety of content. That's really the key for really like multifaceted event like an Inbound.
And a quick question from Tom, and I think is Inbound. Would you consider Inbound to be your most critical, biggest event? Yeah.
Right. So, and we definitely lean on Inbound being more of an industry show. It is not a user conference for HubSpot. Of course, we have tons of HubSpot customers there, but the content is varied enough that anyone would be able to, get a strong return on investment from attending there. It is really made for anyone who wants to accelerate their career or their business growth within marketing, sales, and service specifically.
Yeah. Jay says 3 days is not enough. Love Inbound. So Kat, take that.
Jay is a friend of Inbound. We love Jay too. By the way, Jay is one of our best presenters. If you want a crash course on how to present in an incredibly interesting, dynamic way, please go watch some of Jay's sessions. Holy crap. Like, it is so good. And like, I'm not exaggerating when I say there are thousands of people in front of Jay. He presents 3 times at Inbound, thousands of people in front of Jay's session on email marketing tips and tricks. You would think like, okay, like you're reading the description, you're like, this will be interesting. I'm going to go check it out. People love it. So yes, he's a great example of that.
Wow.
Blush behind the screen, Jay. Terrific. Well, we're just about out of time. Jeremy, anything else to add? Anything we haven't covered?
No, I mean, I love those examples, Kat. I mean, that talk about giving the customers what they want. The Inbound Lab sounds like perfect demonstration of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I love it. It sounds like a lot of what we're seeing is similar to the stuff that you're doing over there.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. That's what I love about these chats is,
Yeah.
you know, you really get to see that it is industry wide and there are these
Yeah.
trends, and it's really cool.
Yeah, it's really changing. Like you said before, Rachel, like it used to be a very like top down approach, right? You looked at like your company goals, or you looked at kind of everything in more of an individual manner, and you created the event, and you kind of you hoped people attended, and then you kind of figure it out there. It is very bottoms up now, what I would say. Like, and when I say bottoms up, it's like we start with the attending customer first. What is the role of the event? What are they trying to get out of it? What is going to not only make them leave their home or their office, their family and friends for the day, for half a day, for multiple days? What can we give them in return? And really starting at the bottom of what content and what engagement are they looking to fulfill? And then you create from there.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that.
All right. And with that, I want to thank Kat and Jeremy for your time today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And look out for our next B2B Strat Chat in Q2. Take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.